Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome into First Pitch, WagerTalk's premier MLB betting show. I am Drew Martin, joined by Dave Koken and Steve Merrill of WagerTalk.com. We're breaking down 3 games on tonight's slate. We got best bets at the end, going around the horn here. We got Dave Koken off of a winner last night. Dave, congrats on the Cardinals, man. That was a wild finish there, buddy. And I know you got a best bet up for tonight. But, what's on your mind?
Yeah, that was fun. Goldie with the granny. He was having a rough night. 3 strikeouts and a GIDP. But he got up against the lefty with the bases loaded in the 10th inning and got one out of there. So I was very happy to see that because the weekend wasn't very good for me. So nice to get a best bet winner in the tank. I'm on 3 games tonight, or 3 selections, I should say, tonight. Nothing in hockey, but the 3 plays are in baseball. And one of them I'll talk about here on the show is a best bet later on.
Hey, it pays to watch, guys. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Next up here, Steve Merrill. Steve, welcome in, buddy. Happy Tuesday morning to you.
Yeah, Drew, great to be here. And I had a free play in baseball. My best bet last night, an easy 20-point winner in the NBA on the Boston Celtics. But my top baseball play I put up for free yesterday, a nice winner as well. But, I'm glad Dave cashed in that Cardinal game because I was watching that live when it happened. I had nothing in the side or the total, but I kept thinking what a bad beat that would have been for under bettors. Total closed 7.5 to the under. Bases loaded 3-3, and that ball barely gets over. In fact, it bounces back in the park. Otherwise, it's a 4-3 final instead of a 7-3 final. So that was a tough one. Anybody had the over there, over 7.5. But once again, we swept the board last night, and it's been a great May in baseball, hitting almost 80% on best bets. I've got a strong MLB best bet tonight and also a strong NBA playoff best bet in Game 4 between the Warriors and Mavericks. A 2-for-1 special Tuesday night, 2-for-1er. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, by the way, a quick note. I mean, if you ever, the ball is definitely dead. In the bottom of the 10th, Arenado led off with a ball, and as soon as off the bat, it's like, well, that's gone. This game's over. And it hit the top of the wall and stayed in play, and he ended up with a double. The ball's just not carrying, and it's not the weather conditions. It has to be the baseball at this point because there are balls that are just they're home runs, and they're not becoming home runs. So, got to fix the baseball.
Dave, I'm totally with you, man. It's funny you bring that up right at the top. I'm actually coming to everyone from Veracruz, Mexico. I went to a Mexican game last night, a Mexican baseball game. I'll tell you this, Dave, watching the ball fly off the bat, I mean, these home runs were going well over 400 feet. I mean, some of the totals down here south of the border, Dave, I know you're not keeping up with it day to day, but these totals are like 14 and 15. It's crazy the difference between MLB and the Mexican baseball league and how far the ball is going, man.
Yeah, and I'll let Steve chime in on this too, but look, fans like home runs.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, when baseball was in its worst period was after that strike in '94, or lockout, or whatever you want to call it. And when did baseball make the big comeback? Regardless of whether they were using went on the home run rampage. The stands were packed every night. The ratings were through the roof. Fans like home runs. So if it means you got to juice baseball, so be it. I don't personally. I like 3-2 games. I'm fine with that, but I understand the masses want to see big flies, and we're not seeing a lot of them this year.
Yeah, Steve, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts before we get to the games, man, but I agree with Dave. I mean, watching home runs fly out of the ballpark, it was fun to do last night.
No, I totally agree. Look, I went to the Nationals-Astros game last Saturday night up in D.C., and I saw a 13-6 Nationals win. I think I talked about it on the show last week. I was fortunate because going into that game, they had the worst home record in baseball. And by the way, I mentioned this in my weekend video this past weekend. The Nationals are 20 points better than any other team batting average on the road this year. Over 20 points better than any other team. They've been unbelievably bad at home and better on the road.
Yeah.
But my point is, it was a great game to watch. 13-6. It was exciting. Both teams were
Yeah,
hitting the
it's
ball.
fun.
7 of the other 10 games on each side, guys, they've had 2 runs or less, or 1 run or less. They've had 2 or less on 8 of their other 10 games on each side of that. So I got very fortunate, and I'm glad I didn't see one of those runners. Or like last night, I had friends that went up last night to see the Dodgers 10-1. It was probably fun to watch LA, but that was a miserable game otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, offense is fun. You know, if it's a really good pitching matchup, I can appreciate that, like Dave said as well.
Mhm.
But the average fan definitely wants to see offense. And the ball is leaving the bat as hard as it's ever left. It's just the drag. I mean, they've shown the numbers on this. Dave's exactly right. The ball is not traveling. They're hitting it as hard as ever. The question to me, guys, though, is do they sneak a new baseball in, or do they tell us if they make changes? Because I don't trust baseball. They've done this over the years.
Yeah, that will be interesting to watch. Yeah, and we'll have to be, you know, as totals bettors, ready to change on a dime if somebody does figure that out, guys. So it's something to watch as the summer goes on, and it does heat up here. So, guys, let's get into the games. Dave, interested in your opinion here. NL East, we get the Phillies and the Braves. Max Fried versus Gibson going for the Phillies. 8.5 being the total here. Heavy favorite for the Braves, -180. I know that Phillies bullpen struggling, but the number jumped off at me as a little high here. Interested in your thoughts in the ATL tonight.
Well, the Phillies have done some damage to lefties on the road this year. They're WRC plus, weighted runs created plus, against lefties on the road. I mean, there has to be some regression, but it's 157, which is incredible. Some of that regression might come tonight because they're facing one of the best lefties in the game in Max Fried, who looks like he's got it pretty well together at this point. But I think this is one of those games where I think the Braves are going to win, but the value's on the Phillies side. So those become no bets for me because I know where the value is. The line simply shouldn't be $1.65 ish. It should be more like 145. But I don't play value dogs just because they've got value, unless I think they're going to win the game, and I certainly don't think they're going to win the game. So it puts me between a rock and a hard place. And the easy solution, this is the beauty of baseball, with 15 games on most days. You don't have to play them all. And this is one I quickly eliminated because it just fell into that category of right side favored, but by too much.
Sure. Steve, coming to you next. I agree with Dave. I mean, I just think this number's too high. We get the Braves, you know, World Series hangover. Not really sure if it's that, but they've lost 2 in a row. They're under 500 at home, and they're having to lay near $1.80. I mean, it's Phillies or pass for me, man. What are your thoughts in Cobb County?
Well, it's interesting. We're talking about the NL East here because I mentioned how the Nationals are batting 286 on the road. The Phillies are the second best road offensive team batting average this year, 262. Mets 261. The NL East has been pretty good offensively, even though the Nationals haven't put up runs at home. They actually have hit the ball away. And I like to look at road numbers once again, everyone, because it takes all the different parks into account. Now, the Nationals did play some games in Coors Field, so maybe that line's a little bumped, but it's still 20-plus road games for everyone. So I think it's a time to start looking at these numbers. And I bring that up because Atlanta has been one of the biggest over teams this season. And we talked about all the unders early in the year. And for the most part, baseball's still slightly under for the season, even though they've really started to adjust those totals down. And I think this is an example of where we get some value now. This is an 8.5 across the board right now. 9 is a very key number. There's a couple 6.5s tonight, Drew. 7 is a very key number. And this is one of the reasons we've seen more over in recent weeks, because the odds makers do adjust the numbers, even if the baseballs still aren't traveling. These are two teams that are very capable offensively. You look at Philly, they put up 10 hits, 7 runs last night in the 7-3 win against Atlanta. The Braves had 11 hits. They actually out-hit the Phillies last night despite losing. So these teams combined for 21 hits yesterday on Monday with the 10 runs. I think over 8.5 is the way to play it.
Sure. And Steve brings up big name pitchers on tonight's slate and seeing some lower totals. Next game up has some big names here as we get Corbin Burnes versus Blake Snell. Talking the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Diego Padres. Steve, coming back to you next here. 9:40 Eastern, so 2 late games to end it here, guys. But we get Corbin Burnes versus Snell, the lefty, 6.5 seeing the total. Some juice on this over, -$1.25 towards the over, Steve. Seeing -130 right now. That's Milwaukee, -135. The Brew Crew as the road favorite. You liking anything in Southern California tonight, Steve?
It's funny, Drew. I did that weekend baseball video late on Friday night, and the Dodgers pitcher was undecided going into Saturday. I mentioned on the video how the Dodgers had been favored in every game this season. Then, boom, Saturday they put White on the mound. They actually go off as an underdog. And I bring that up here because we have another good NL West team in San Diego who's a home dog tonight. And obviously they play LA several times this year. They'll probably be a home dog in a lot of those games. But still, get the Padres as plus 120 as a home dog is obviously going to catch your attention. But I'm not sure I want to fade Burns at a low price range. And the other concern here is Blake Snell, only his second start of the season. And this is a guy that's definitely, in my opinion, on the trade block. If a team wants to pick up the big salary, I think that's going to be the big stumbling block is if they want to pay him. I believe it's like $15 million. I might be mistaken on that, but it's a pretty good chunk of change. And the Padres don't really need him. I mean, he's been out of the rotation all year. They've obviously got more. They've got some other younger guys coming up. So I don't know what to make of Snell. He didn't look very good last week in his first start on May 18th. He gave up 3 runs, 3 walks in just over 3.5 innings. Did have 5 strikeouts, so just a lot of unknown. I do think he'll probably pitch better tonight. Would have no problems with the under in this game if he does pitch well, because obviously Burns is a lights-out starter. And this is one of those 2 6.5s we talked about a few minutes ago. And as I've mentioned on the show several times, Ralph Michaels gave me this stat last year. Going into last season, if you'd blindly played under 6.5 or less over 7 of the previous 8 years, you'd made money on the blind. It's a little tricky now, though, because this is a 6.5 to the over. This would have been a 7 probably a month ago. So I think we have to be cautious with that stat going forward. But in general, these totals are 6.5 for a reason. They're usually low-scoring games.
Sure. I thought a good word there was unknown, Dave. I mean, that Steve used. It's a tricky handicap to me. Blake Snell, not a whole lot of workload this season. I was leaning towards the Padres, kind of a better bullpen, by the numbers so far this season, a better whip out of the bullpen anyway. I was leaning towards the home dog here. What are your thoughts on Petco tonight, Dave?
Well, first of all, no Josh Hader from Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. He's got a family emergency, so he wasn't there last night, which had an impact on the game. And he apparently will miss this entire series. And that does have a domino effect on the entire Milwaukee bullpen. So they're a little bit skewed late in the game. And the Padres bullpen, it's a shaky pen, okay? They managed to get through it last night. Garcia got in all kinds of trouble in the 10th inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and he got out of it with a 1-2-3 double play and then a hard shot that was fielded. And they escaped the inning and then won it when the rookie hit the walk-off in the bottom of the 10th. I don't know what to make of Snell. I think there were positive signs coming out of the first start. Technically his second start, because he was officially a starter in the first one, although he never faced anybody and left with the injury. His velocity was good. Okay, I think that there was some rust, and you would think that he'll be a little bit sharper here, but he's still not going to go real deep in the game. I would think, 75 pitches max? Maybe even less than that, because that's generally about all Snell throws anyway. He's not a distance guy. Snell's not throwing any complete games, even at top health. Burns off the game were a little misleading. You look at it, he gave up 2 homers and 4 runs. They came on back-to-back guys. He just lost his command for a couple of batters. Outside of that, he was typical Burns. So I think there's a pretty decent chance of a first 5 under, but I wouldn't be looking full game under with the uncertainty in the bullpens. So if you like the over, play the full game. If you like the under, go the first 5. Me, I'm just going to sit it out and watch what should be another good matchup at Petco. Fans are turning out in big numbers for the games at San Diego. They're excited about this team, and I think with good reason. They're a good team.
Absolutely. Winning 5 straight as well. Great atmosphere there in San Diego. Great point there. Good analysis, Dave, in terms of handicapping the bullpens. Josh Hader with the family emergency, plus the fact Devin Williams just threw 24 pitches yesterday. Yep. Is he available? Kind of a question mark there in the later innings. Good stuff, guys.
I would say no. I would say he's not available. Given the fact that Williams has had some physical issues, I don't think he's coming back after 24 pitches, unless maybe if they're ahead by 1 in the 9th inning, maybe, because he's the closer by proxy tonight. But I would guess that he's not going to be out there tonight.
All right, guys, let's head to San Francisco for the last game before best bets here. Staying on the West Coast, we got 9:45 Eastern start here, Dave. New York Mets, San Francisco Giants. Great matchup here. minus $1.25 for the Giants at home, 7.5 being the total, 70 degrees, 15-mile-an-hour winds I'm seeing out to center. Bassett versus Webb. You liking anything? Metropolitans and Giants tonight, Dave.
I do, but I'm not going to play it, and that'll be the end of the analysis as to why I'm not playing it. The Mets are a better team than San Francisco right now. The Giants are struggling. Brandon Belt is out. They're now 5-10 on the season without Belt. The Giants have killed bad teams and have a very poor record against good teams. And the Mets are a good team. To me, the Mets should not be the underdogs in the game. Their current form is much better than the Giants, and the other stuff I just talked about would favor the Mets. Then there's the one thing that keeps me off the game. Logan Webb's last 17 starts at home, the Giants are 17-0. I'm not going against that. I mean, I know I'm a little bit dumb, but I'm not that stupid. So I'll stay out of it. I'm not going to lay a price with the Giants in their current form. But you just don't go against the 17-0. At least I don't. You want to? Go ahead if you're brave enough. But I'm not playing the Giants. I'm not fading 17-0. Next.
Strong stat there, Steve. Are you dumb enough to fade the 17-0?
Yeah, not looking to fade the 17-0. I won't be involved in this game, but the reason being is I'm not necessarily going to fade the Mets at an underdog price either. This is a team that's won 5 of their last 6 games. They've put up double-digit hits. They've had 11 hits or more in 4 of those last 6 games, including 18 hits yesterday on Monday on those 13 runs. So obviously this offense is clicking right now, and I like that momentum. The Giants, meanwhile, have lost 5 of their last 7. So these are 2 teams heading opposite directions. In San Francisco, single-digit hits in 4 of those last 5 games. So I think the Mets are in better current form, and we are getting them as an underdog price. Not in any hurry to play against San Francisco at home, especially. But I do think the better team right now, the hotter team, is the Mets at an underdog price, and that's an angle that's going to probably make you money long term.
Sure. What a clever. I was saying that tongue-in-cheek, guys, because of Dave's great analysis there. I thought it was funny. But the Mets are 16-7 on the road and have won 2 straight. But to his point, Logan Webb has been lights out at home. Great analysis here, guys, on all 3 games. We got best bets at the end. Reminder, it's $2 Tuesday. Ski Profits first ever WNBA 5% best bet up and available for only $2. We got Dave Koken, Steve Merrill in. Dave off of that winner with the St. Louis Cardinals last night. Steve 11-3 this month, just under 80% on the diamond. So check them both out, WagerTalk.com. Guys, we got best bets now. I'm going with the Philadelphia Phillies over the Atlanta Braves in the first 5 innings. And actually, I shouldn't say over. I'm going plus a half a run. So on the run line in the first 5 innings, minus 105. That's on the Phillies. Top 10 lineup against lefties. We get Gibson on the hill, and the Phillies have won 2 straight games. The Braves have lost 2 straight and are also under 500 at home this season. Call it a World Series hangover. Call it whatever you want. I'm taking the half a run in the first 5 innings, minus 105 with the Phillies for my best bet. Throw it over to you, Dave. Good winner last night. Great analysis on the 3 games. Where are you going for best bets, and any final thoughts for the show?
Well, this will be one of the 3 plays I'm on tonight, and it's the Rockies-Pirates matchup with Kyle Freeland pitching against Roansy Contreras on the mound for the Pirates. And Contreras is a really interesting guy because he profiled as kind of a back end of the rotation pitcher until last year in the minors when his velocity suddenly ticked way up. And he's turned into a power arm, throwing 96, 97, big heat. He's made 3 appearances so far. The first one wasn't very good. The last 2, 6 innings, and he basically gave up nothing. I think he's live here. Now, he's not going to go real deep into the game, so this is going to be a first 5 play for me. I think he might be a once through the lineup, not really an opener, but probably not going to go more than 50, 60 pitches tops. I think he's got a good chance to contain a Rockies lineup that isn't very good on the road against righties. They've been horrible. In fact, that good old weighted runs created plus stat, 57 on the road against righties. The Pirates don't hit anybody. They particularly don't hit lefties. 84 in the season at home against lefties. Kyle Freeland, pedestrian, to put it mildly, but I don't think the Pirates are going to light him up. So you've got a total here that's 4 for the first 5 innings. I think there's a really good chance they stay under. I don't think 5 is going to get scored here. So I'll go under 4 for the first 5 innings with Freeland and Contreras on the mound between the Rockies and the Pirates.
Dave Koken at Dave Koken on Twitter. We got at Steve Merrill on Twitter. 11-3 this month. Steve, what do you got for final thoughts and best bets?
Yeah, going to get to a free baseball play here for Tuesday night, May 24th. Baseball has been red hot, 11-3, 79% for the month of May. We're going to be over 80% for the month of May after tonight because I've got a strong play that I like a lot. A powerful MLB over-under best bet for Tuesday night. Also, Game 4 between the Mavericks and Warriors tonight, a strong NBA playoff best bet that's backed by an 82% ATS super situation, which I give you in the analysis. And guess what? You get them both a 2-for-1 special right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Game that was just a bit outside for making the cut tonight on Tuesday comes in the National League at 7 Eastern. Go look at the LA Dodgers against my Washington Nationals. Nationals been one of the worst, if not the worst, home teams in baseball this season. Just 5-16, 4-16 when I'm not in attendance because I've gone to one game this year and they actually played well. And that's because they don't hit the ball well at home. And, man, we saw that again last night. In fact, I went to the game that was 13-6 last Saturday. They've put up 1 run or less in 7 of their other 10 games, home and away on each side, including last night. They lost 10-1 to the Dodgers. Now, we're not going to lay the 220 with the Dodgers. We're going to take it down on the run line, -1.5, -130. And that's a no-brainer. As I've said for several years here on the shows, the LA Dodgers, you either play them on the run line to win by 2 or more, or you play the other team to win outright. I don't see the Nationals winning this game outright. That means the Dodgers most likely win by margin, and they've continued to do that. They've played 41 games this year, and only 3 times out of 41 games have the Dodgers won by exactly 1 run. 25 of their 28 wins have been by 2 runs or more, several by 3 runs or more. Take the Dodgers -1.5, -130 on the run line at 7 Eastern. A game that was just a bit outside for making the cut. I've got a much stronger MLB over-under best bet and also Game 4 Warriors-Mavs best bet. 2-for-1 special Tuesday night. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Like it, Steve. Yeah, we get the Dodgers run line -130 there, available at multiple books, both in Vegas and around the country. We get Dave Koken, Rockies, Pirates, first 5 under 4, and I'm on the Phillies, first 5 plus that half a run, -105 for Dave Koken, Steve Merrill. Check them both out, WagerTalk.com, $2 Tuesday. I am Drew Martin. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck until then.
Stop. Don't buy that Picks package or All Access. Wait, what? Yep. Don't click Add to Cart until you check out our new deals page at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where you can find all the latest offers, promotions, and coupons available all in one place. These deals are updated daily and can be found by clicking Deals in the nav at WagerTalk or Sports Memo, going to wt.buzz/deals, or scanning the QR code on your screen.